Yo guys, what is going on? JPS back from the video, and today we're going to be reacting to a video about a very, very, very important topic, and that is the rail strikes that are going on in the UK right now that I've been paying extra close attention to, because as you all know, I am visiting the United Kingdom in 3 weeks. I'm going to be traveling using the rails, so this is getting a little iffy here. So yeah, we're gonna watch this, see if we can learn some more, because I have no idea why they're going on, who's doing them. I know there's some unions maybe based off of that and what I've seen in the headlines, but yeah, this is important that I stay updated on this, as I did purchase a BritRail consecutive pass for not only me but also my traveling accomplice and cameraman Will. And without that, I mean, we don't have a solid way of getting around. I know there's substitute buses and things like that, but we're on a very tight itinerary that relies on these railways. So let's get right into this. Hit that like button, hit subscribe, and let's see what's happening.
The third day of national rail strikes called by the RMT over pay and conditions. And workers from other unions are out in solidarity.
The RMT say that this isn't just about the railways, it is about working people everywhere. And they feel that at the moment they have got public support. And just look, they say, at all the other trades unions who have turned out today to support them. We all know that the people that are most impacted by a train strike are oftentimes the same demographic as your members. Yeah. And that's going to create a big tension for you, isn't it?
Yeah, we get that. But those same people are some of the people here. They're some of the low-paid workers who have to travel in and did travel in all through COVID using public transport. Our fight is their fight, and we will stand shoulder to shoulder with every organisation and union that wants to get them all a pay rise.
What if they say your fight is no longer their fight because you don't stand for them?
That's not what they're saying. On the trains this week, our train managers and catering workers were told by the public and the travelling public that we're supported. The opinion polls are showing it.
From workers to the weekend, revellers made their way to the Rolling Stones concert in Hyde Park using any means necessary.
Local bus, and another local bus. So 4 hours, yeah, from Gatwick.
It came from Aberdeen actually to London by train, but it worked actually. So because I came on Friday, and Friday was the day off.
Hoping for an Uber, but
I'm 39 years old. Do I look like someone who can wait till 5 a.m. for a coach home? Don't.
And sympathy depends who you ask.
I don't sympathise with them because I think it is chasing inflation.
I think everyone in the public sector is being shafted, basically. You know, they need the money.
Network Rail says 20% of trains did run today, and that many main lines remained at least partially open. But much of the UK had
20%?
no service at all. Which meant, for example, if you wanted to get to the beach today, you needed a car. Many seaside towns, including Blackpool, Skegness, Margate, Bournemouth and Llandudno, had no trains. The same for the whole of Cornwall. Not a single working train.
All right, before we get into this next part, I want to ask you what you think about the rail strikes. Who do you side with in this? You know, just it's an opinion. Just put it in the comments down below. There's no right or wrong answer. It's just your opinion. So put it down there, because this seems a lot more complicated than just a yes or no or a...
In Scotland,
there's a lot going on here
were in voice
just from this video.
Glasgow's famous Central Station, with a warning their strike isn't just about pay.
For example, Network Rail are talking about cutting in half the maintenance that they do on the railway. That is a real dangerous move in our view, and I think the public need to be made aware of that, because if the rail infrastructure isn't maintained properly, trains come off the track, go down embankments and kill people.
The union hasn't ruled out further strikes and wants the government to intervene. The government wants them to resolve things directly with Network Rail and the train operating companies, repeating that even in rush hour, post-pandemic traveller numbers are low, and with reduced revenue, what they want to see is reform.
Well, with me now is Scottish Labour leader Anas Sarwar. Mr Sarwar, Keir Starmer's office this week told Labour frontbenchers not to go along to the picket lines. You went anyway. What was he thinking?
Look, I lead the Scottish Labour Party, and I think it's important to give solidarity to striking workers on picket lines here in Scotland. And I think it's important to recognise that this is a crisis entirely of the UK government's making. The workers don't want to strike. The unions don't want to strike, the publics don't want to strike, but all of them demand better of this government. And I think, as was said in your piece before, Geraint Shapps needs to stop playing the political games, stop trying to create a culture war here, get round the table, get a deal, and get our systems back started.
You're talking about political games. The leader of the Labour Party is asking his own front benchers not to attend pickets, and the consequence is that, according to a recent poll, 43% of people don't know what Labour's position is on the strike. So can you help us out? Is the Labour Party, led by Keir Starmer at a UK level, in favour of these strikes or not? Simple question.
Well, look,
there it goes. The will look. Typical politician, man. He's not going to answer the question.
The Scottish Labour Party. And
do you not know what the answer is?
Look, we don't. Nobody in the country wants strikes.
I know nobody wants the strikes, but just help me out with this
strikes.
very simple question. Is the UK Labour Party in favour of these rail strikes?
Well, look, the UK Labour Party is in favour of a fair pay deal for these workers, recognising that these are very workers that we went out on a Thursday night, we applauded for, we recognised them as frontline workers during a pandemic, and we all made a promise then that we wouldn't just applaud them in a token gesture, but coming through the pandemic, we would recognise them and reward them too. Layer on top of that a cost of living crisis where inflation is heading towards 11%. That means a real terms pay cut for people across the country.
Sorry for
and that means struggling to make people be able to feed their kids. So we should be supporting those workers and demanding a fair pay deal.
All right, bro.
Should the workers then get the 7% they're asking for?
Well, look, I think there has to be negotiation. I think there has to be...
It's just two butting heads. Like, it's so complicated. And I think we're all just in a really bad situation. This isn't just the UK. You know, we're experiencing inflation here as well. It's tough. It's a tough time for everyone. And things like this are bound to happen. But one thing I noticed, I was watching this travel log. These rail strikes are nothing new. I mean, they're pretty common occurrences, especially during the summer, from what I heard, because literally I was reading these travel blogs and they're like, oh, don't worry about the train strikes, usually they just last a couple days. Like, why are they still striking after years and years? Like, I just don't get it.
A fair deal and fair settlement between the unions.
This is another simple question, really, isn't it? If you're standing alongside them on the picket, do you think they should get what they're asking?
I think
I didn't know we were watching a comedic
it's a perfectly
video.
Reasonable position to say, particularly for those workers on a lower level of pay, that they should be getting a much higher increase in pay compared to perhaps those that are on the higher end of the pay scale, perhaps in the £120,000, £150,000 plus mark. So I think people would recognise the need to have a fair pay settlement that doesn't mean a real terms pay cut for some of the lowest paid workers. Let's not forget that some of the workers who kept us going through that pandemic were some of the poorest paid workers in our country.
Obviously, there are other industries threatening to strike, teachers, nurses, police officers. Would you stand by them as well? Would you think that everyone in the public sector deserves more than the government's offering?
Well, look, I will absolutely stand by workers, and what I will not do is allow this government to pit worker against worker in order to try and...
Okay, yeah, this guy's like, this is exactly what I would expect of someone being a leader from the Labour Party. But I have some comments here, so... Personally, how I feel about this, I really don't know much, so this opinion is coming from kind of just very surface level knowledge regarding these rail strikes. I'm always going to side with the workers, just because the workers are the ones who make all this stuff happen. Like, without the workers, you're not going to have much, and that's becoming very apparent now. But at the same time, like, it's so easy because the government's just going to deflect it, and then the leaders of the rail companies are also going to deflect it back to the government. That's how I see it right now. Is it's just a deflection game, and then the workers are all pissed. So it's like someone just needs to step up and man up and pay them more if that's what they want, because you know the people speak at this point, and they're speaking. Travelers are having a lot of trouble, and I hope that doesn't happen to me. I mean, if you're working for if we got any members of Parliament in here, make something happen, guys.
Squeeze down wages and suppress people's wages.
Imagine there's someone like watching this who has like so much power and they just fix it.
We should be supporting these workers. No. We should be demanding the government gets round and does a fair pay deal, so we can get people, first of all, confronting the cost of living crisis, and then rewarding them because they were underpaid before this crisis as well.
Just briefly,
rewarding
then,
them and then rebuilding these public services.
If everyone's to get a pay rise under Labour, where's the money coming from?
Well, look, you've seen through that crisis the exponential amount of money that was spent in terms of getting us through that crisis, in terms of the furlough scheme being a good example of that. And right now we have a major cost of living crisis. People can't afford to put the heating on. There are mums skipping meals in order to feed their children. Surely in that circumstance, people deserve a fair pay deal and a government focused on that crisis, not trying to fight a culture war.
Thanks, Hanasawa. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Leave it.
Bro, I think that the anchor was kind of frustrated. He wasn't getting what he wanted out of that guy. But yeah, that was a good video. I enjoyed that. News in the UK is not very different from news in the United States. You know, you have the out on the front lines interviewing people, and then you have the politician talk and very vague and convoluted conversation where he just says stock words and sentences that you can find literally anywhere and mean absolutely nothing. But yeah, that's why I just don't like any politicians. Regarding the rail strikes, I'm pretty nervous about it because obviously it just lasted a couple days. There might be some this week, but I think they're over at this point. But they have threatened that this isn't the end of them. They could come back. So yeah, I'm pretty keeping my eyes out about that. It's not just rail strikes though, like this video said. There's a lot of different issues going on. There's airplane strikes, airport worker strikes, or whatever you call them, flight attendant strikes, I guess. Lots of flights being delayed, especially out of the UK, which makes me a bit nervous. That's going to be the big, because that's what I paid. I paid a lot of money for that flight because jet fuel is up. Everything's up. I mean, we're going to be in a recession very soon if we aren't already. So not the best economic situation around the world right now. It's a tough time for everyone. So I think empathy is going to be what wins here. I'm not mad at any workers, obviously, and I definitely respect their decision to strike, and I hope they get what they want. And I hope I get what I want as well, which will be to travel around the UK. So yeah, if there's anything that I need to be aware of, I understand that my opinion could have been completely wrong, completely far off. That's totally fine. I just wanted to get something out there as my baseline opinion after watching that. But yeah, if there's anything I need to be made aware of, please make me aware. As you guys know, I pay close attention to the comments, so whatever you want to put in there, I'll be reading it. So I appreciate all the comments. And yeah, I'm excited for this trip. It's going to be a journey regardless of what happens, so I hope you guys are ready to join me on that voyage. But yeah, with that being said, hit that like button, hit subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.